What's going on, everyone? I'm on the mic today from Spectral Sound Tutorials, bringing you a tutorial about Xfer Serum. I'm going to show you some great ways to make detuned, screechy rhythm basses from tracks from artists like Zomboy and Borgore and Bear Grylls. Here's an example of one. This is from Girls by Bear Grylls. You can hear that really screechy bass right there, and then there's a little bit of a deeper one that comes in on the second part. All those kind of basses. I'm going to show you tips and tricks of the best way to make those in Serum, and I'm just going to go through. I'm going to just make a new patch right here, and you can see the entire process because it's very good to learn visually in music production. So the first trick is to import a snare as a wavetable. The best part about Serum, in my opinion, is that you can import your wavetables. It just makes your sound so much more original. So what I'm going to take, I'm going to find, I have Cymatics 50K sample pack here with their snares. I found a snare that I like. It's got good depth right there, you can see in the spectrum. It's got good high end, a nice and like screechiness up at the top with that sort of clang sound you're hearing in the back. The snares like these and like these are really good to use. I've made one out of this snare already. This is I'm gonna make one using this one, so you can hear it kind of has a pitch. So I'm just gonna go import with dynamic pitch to 0 snap. So it's gonna just snap the pitch down to 0, and that'll make the key a lot easier. So alright, this is our initial wavetable we have here. It's not that great because we just imported it. There's a lot of silence at the end right here, and there's a lot of stuff down here that isn't, it's very messy, it's not clean. We just like this first bit, so let's find the sweet spot here. There we go. This wavetable right here, that's where wavetable 26, that's where the frequencies, those high screechy frequencies are getting lost. Like the wavetable is kind of losing momentum at this point. So I'm just going to remove selected until end, and now we're left with 25 tables right here. We got some decent screechiness up at the top, then a really good transient at the front, and a bit of the lower end. We can use that, that'll be good. Alright, next thing to do would be to, did I already normalize? No, I didn't. Process normalize each, gain separately, so now they are all at the same level. The only problem is though, when I do that, this first frame sounds so much louder because all the screechiness there is normalized. The fundamental is like very low, you can see it here. The fundamental is very low, so you're getting a lot of screechiness. However, in a wavetable like this, the fundamental is very high. So the screechiness is very low, but the fundamental is normalized. So what we're going to do for, let's say, yeah, from this wavetable to this one, these few wavetables, we're going to lower the fundamental. It's very high. Take it down to about there. And this is just me kind of being nitpicky. Like, I wouldn't, if the entire wavetable was like this, I wouldn't do that. I just deal with the fundamental the way it was. But in this case, where it's only these few tables, I think that it'll be good. And alright, now since we lowered the fundamental, these frames are not as high as ones such as that, so we're just gonna go normalize each again. Now everything's a lot more even. You can see there isn't that big bulge that there used to be. Alright, and there's 2 more steps just to make this a good wavetable. First step is to X-fade the edges to 16 sample, just to make sure that they cut off at the same. See, this one ducked down and this one ducked up, so they meet right in the middle, so we don't have that extra clipping harmonic that we don't really want in this. And the last step is to, you can either do a crossfade or spectral. I like to do spectral, zeroing the fundamental phase. It makes everything a lot smoother. It makes for a smoother wavetable in my opinion. So I'll do that. Fundamental phase is zeroed, and there are wavetables in between the wavetables. Now we got a really good wavetable there. Let's lower it down an octave, how about? That's an interesting spot, but the spot I want to take is this front area. We'll just take that. So we'll give it an LFO. That'll be good. And now we raise this up so it's a little more even. Put it on trigger mode. 1/4 is fine. Yeah, that's good. Now we're going to automate the level, which is another good thing to do with these rhythm basses. Now, automating this level like this is going to make it sound not very strong at all. Like, that's kind of a weak sound, but we can bring it back later with the multi-band compressor. Here, we can, it'll work, trust me. Alright, so that's the first tip for making these screechy basses, importing snares. You can really make some really good sounds using that technique. Alright, now the next technique I'm going to show you is frequency modulation. So what we're going to do, we're going to enable oscillator B, we're going to turn down the level all the way so we're not hearing a saw wave, we'll just frequency modulate by a saw wave. Let's see how that sounds. Oh, no, I don't want that. Frequency modulation. Now, you can hear what happens when we turn this up. It sounds really messy up in this top areas because there's so much FM going on, but it gets pretty screechy up in these mid-range, so we can try that. Then you can mess with the octave of the saw wave. These will kind of just adjust the depth, like how deep you want your rhythm bass to be. If you want it really high and screechy, like that first screech I showed you in Girls by Bear Grylls, or if you want it to be a little lower, like the second screech. The octave of this will kind of determine that. You have this, which is not that good yet here. You have that versus this. You just get that extra high frequency screech with this FM. So we're gonna leave it like that. I'm liking the highness right there. But something we can also do to this wavetable to make it even more screechy and detuned, so we can go to multis, we can squarify. Now this sound it looks a lot cooler, the wavetable. Now the sound is completely detuned. This is how you do Terror Squad. Let's normalize each again because it got unnormalized by the squarifying process. And now it sounds like this. Yeah, now it's taken away all the even harmonics except for the fundamental. So now it is truly screechy. Like, that's how you get a detuned feel from a wavetable in Serum. I'm just gonna play it in F, that'll work fine. Let's mess with the FM a little bit more. You can even automate the FM. Let's try that. This sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. There, I've just automated it a little bit. This note, middle C right here, is just a bit high. I like the lower F. Sounds pretty good. Alright, you can even, if you want to, you can throw some bend on this saw wave. For example, if I take a... I'm going to make it start at that bend minus spot and go up to the middle. So now it's got more movement. You see, I'm going to just select the bend minus tab. Makes it easier. Alright, now we got a good sound. Now the next trick I'm going to show you is to incorporate the filter, because you do want that modulation, like the talking. It's not just a solid air, like you want something going on. So a filter that I like to use here is, I love to use the band reject. The band reject, which was added to Serum, which is really cool. Serum constantly getting updates, new wavetables come in. It's really great. So we're going to turn the width a little wider, cut off. We can adjust that later. What I like to do is to put the resonance about here, not that high, and then have the modulator modulate the resonance higher to about like around 50% or so, just somewhere around there. We can play around with this. And then obviously you want to control the width to make it go yaw, yaw, to make it talk. That's what the band reject does best. Alright, let's play around with the cutoff, find a good position. And that's where you can really adjust like how dark the vowel is between like a yoy and a yai kind of thing. So I can even put a little bit on the cutoff. I like that. That's got some nice talk to it. Without the filter. With the filter. That just gives it a lot more talk behind it. Play around with the drive a bit. Now I think the drive's good where it is. We'll get that from distortion. But okay. Now you can add a bit of white noise if you like. I like to add a bit of white noise. Even if you can't hear it that much, it just helps to fill out the waveform. When I throw my effects on it, I may take that out later. I'm just gonna put that there because it usually sounds pretty dang good. So some hyperdimension, expand it a bit, turn the mix down because this is rather strong. Just a bit of extra dimension. And then the dimension expander right here, which I love. I use this on like every sound. It's the same basic thing as the dimension expander in Massive. Turn down really low. I just have it on 1%. That's all you really need. Bit of distortion. Here's another trick I like to do. When you're making these screechy basses like this, you can use a signfold distortion. You can see what it looks like here. It's very strong. If you turn it all the way up, it makes your sound just like white noise. Like, that's really messy. But if you just automate a little bit just to go up and down like that, you can really add some good screechiness. So let's try that. Without the distortion. With the distortion. It's very nice. So the flanger, you could add the flanger if you want, like turn the rate down and find a cool position, like. can find a cool position there, but for that, I don't usually use that when I'm making the big rhythm basses. They can be a cool thing, that and the same thing with the phaser, but I don't think I'm going to do it for this specific bass. Now, compression. This is a very important part. Once you put this on multiband, now with the Serum update, you have a mix, which is very cool, and you can adjust the threshold of each individual band. So we're just going to see how it sounds. Being compressed a lot. Let's raise the threshold a bit. Now this is the point where now you're kind of hearing that white noise in the background. Let's try to take that off. Yeah, you're really hearing it. Well, I'm not going to take it completely off. I'm just going to lower it. There we go. Alright. That just really strengthens the sound a lot. And I'm clipping. Look at that. Okay, so there we go. Now, got a good compressor. We can add some reverb, which is awfully nice. Sounds really good. Something I really like to do is just turn the mix down kind of low and then throw the macro on it, or not the macro, the LFO1, excuse me, onto the reverb just to go up and down. So if you stop it right at the top, it has a nice big release, but if you end it at around there, the release is not quite as big. It goes up and down, and it just adds more depth to the modulation. And at this point, you could choose some more complex wavetable, or not wavetable, excuse me, waveform in this LFO here. Like I'm going to do something like this. Turn it down to 1/2. You can even just play it as a single, like. Nice effect. Alright, now, for this EQ, you can do whatever really you like with this EQ. You can add more, you could use it as an extra, you could add more vowel. You could add some more frequencies. Or take away some frequencies if you wanted to. But I think I'm going to save this because what I want to do is I want to add an additional filter, but I want it to be a reverb filter, because reverb is very good for making your basses metallic. Like you can, it's a really weird filter. So it emulates a reverb, and if you turn the resonance all the way up, it kind of sounds like a metallic reverb. Wow, okay, that's really strong. Yeah, but I don't like to turn the resonance all the way up. And find a good position in the cutoff. Let's try putting this before the compressor. Maybe after the compressor, before the reverb. Now it works best before. Now, I know this is a very bad sound, but trust me with this. What you can even do, if you want to make this sound more organized, you can assign a macro to this and assign a macro to the mix. Now you could turn the mix up and down, and then you can adjust the cutoff. Just try to look for the sweet spots. That's quite nice. So we go from this to this, which is nice and high and screechy. But what we're going to do, we're going to just turn the mix about, let's try to find a good mix spot. It just adds a whole new level of screechiness. And now you can use the EQ here to kind of take away find the ugly spots. In this case, the wavetable was actually pretty nice. So what I think I want to do is I want to just put it on shelving and turn this down a bit, and then do one of these. Turn it down slightly and modulate it. Even modulate the frequency. Just kind of cleans it up a bit. But yeah, so now you went from this snare to this rhythm bass. Actually, I might take away a frequency. There we go. So now you went from the snare to a really nice rhythm bass. And now I'm not saying you have to copy the sound I make. This is just showing you tips and tricks of really good ways. You got importing snares, FM synthesis, band reject filter. It's very nice. The distortion with the sine fold. The filter, which has the reverb to add extra screechiness. And yeah, you can just assign macros to that's what I like to do with my reverb filter, just to customize the sound. Each time I open it up, I can kind of change it based on how I want it to sound. So you could save this preset. I already have a preset extremely similar to this that I made earlier, which I used from the same snare. That's why I used the snare for the tutorial, because it works very, very well. But you can just make a different sound from each of these sounds. Like a snare is just particularly nice because it's got depth and it's got grit and high frequencies. So yes, this is a very efficient way to make awesome dirty rhythm basses. Hope you found this tutorial helpful. Like and subscribe for more tutorials such as this. If you have a sound you would like to learn to make, simply comment on the video the sound that you want to learn. And thank you for watching.